Hello, second grade. For today's lesson, we are just going to be doing some review. We are going to be practicing adding two-digit numbers together using two of the strategies that we've been working on this year. We're going to practice it with the open number line strategy. You guys should be pretty familiar with that one. We've done a lot of practice with open number line, but we haven't really talked about open number line in a couple weeks. So we're going to review that today just to make sure it's still fresh in our brains. And we're also going to review that splitting strategy that we practiced last week, just so that we have those two strategies in our back pocket in case we need to add two-digit numbers together. So we're going to start with 25 plus 42, and we're going to start with open number line today. All right, so remember, with open number line, you do not have to start at 0. That is a waste of your time. We do not need to do that. Just like when we're adding numbers in our head, we can get the bigger number in our head and count up. So that way we don't have to start all the way back at 0. That takes way too much time. So we're going to think smarter, not harder. So we're going to start with 42 because 42 is the bigger number than 25. So starting with 42, I'm going to start way down here at the end so that I've got plenty of room to make my jumps. So I'm going to make my tick mark for 42. Now I need to add 25. So here's where place value comes in, friends. Just like when we're thinking about the splitting strategy, I might actually use a little bit of the splitting strategy here to help us out. So if I'm splitting 25 into its tens and ones, remember that 2 does not actually mean 2. That 2 represents 2 groups of 10. So 2 groups of 10 is 20. And then we have our 5 ones. So 20 and 5 makes up 25. So basically, I need to do 20 and 5 in jumps. And remember, we can do jumps of 1, 5, or 10. So if I have 20, that means I have 2 groups of 10. And since I have 2 groups of 10, that means I can do 2 jumps of 10. Because also remember, we want to try to always get these answers in the fewest jumps possible. So I want to take jumps of 10 if I can, because those are my biggest jumps. So starting from 42, I'm going to take my first jump of 10. Don't forget to label. And then my second jump of 10. So right there, 10, 20. That's the 20 from my 25. But now I need to label where I landed after each jump. So 42 plus 10 is 52. Remember, a way to think about it is if we have 42, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 tens and 2 ones. But if I add another 10, now I don't have 4 tens, now I have 5 tens, which is 52, 5 tens and 2 ones, okay? So we have 52 after our first 10. I don't like that 5. I'm going to fix it. Looks kind of like a 6. There we go. And now we're going to add our second 10. So now going from 52 plus another 10 is 62. Because again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens and 2 ones. But if we add another 10, now we have 6 tens and 2 ones, which is 62. But we're not done yet. We've only added 20 so far. Now I need to add my 5. And what's going to be quicker, doing 5 jumps of 1 or 1 jump of 5? Definitely just 1 jump of 5. I'd much rather take just 1 jump instead of 5 jumps. So from 62, I'm going to take 1 jump of 5. And now I can do a couple things to get this answer. I can either get 62 in my head and count up 5 more, or I might just add my ones together. So let's try both strategies. So if I get 62 in my head and count up 5 more, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. So that's 5 more, and I got 67. Or again, if I just add my ones together, 5 plus 2 is 7, and I still have 6 tens. So now I have 6 tens and 7 ones, which is 67. So 25 plus 42 is 67. So that's a review on how we might solve this using the open number line strategy. Now let's see if we can solve it using the splitting strategy. We already kind of got started with this part here. All right. Let's pretend we don't know the answer yet. And here's a little tip. If I get the wrong answer this time for the splitting strategy, then I'm going to know I made a mistake somewhere because both of my answers should be the same because it's the same equation. All right, so remember with the splitting strategy, what we want to do is we want to split both of these numbers into their tens and ones. It doesn't really matter which number you start with, but I just usually start with the first number. So if we're going to split 25, we're going to do what we just did on the last problem and split it into 20 and 5. Because remember that 2 represents two groups of 10, which is 20, and then we have our 5 ones. I like to make my boxes and my circles. That kind of helps me keep my 10s and my 1s separated. Now we're going to do the same thing for 42. Again, that 4 is not actually 4. That 4 represents 4 groups of 10. And 4 groups of 10 is 40. And then we have our 2 ones. So that's your first step, is to split them into their 10s and 1s. Now we're going to add our 10s together, my 20 and my 40, and then we're going to add our 1s together, my 5 and my 2. So the circles go with the circles and the squares go with the squares. So adding these first, these are nice friendly numbers I can work with because they're multiples of 10. So I can either do 20 plus 40 or I can flip-flop it and do 40 plus 20, whichever is easier. So 40 plus 20, I know, is 60. And I know this for a couple of reasons. I know if I get 40 in my head and count up 2 more 10s, so 40, 50, 60, there's my 2 10s, there's my 20, and I got 60. Or I know that 4 plus 2 is 6. So that must mean that 40 plus 20 is 60, because we're just looking at groups of 10 instead of 1s. So there's a couple ways you can get that. Or maybe you just have really good mental math and you just knew it. Then we're going to add our 1s together. 5 plus 2, that's easy, 7. Then our last step is to add those two numbers together. 60 plus 7, which is 67. And that was the same answer I got last time. So I know that I'm correct because I got the same answer twice in 2 different ways. So that is just a refresher on how to do the open number line and the splitting strategy. Let's try them again with one more problem, just for a little extra review. All right, so the problem that I am going to do to wrap up our lesson for today is 23 plus 39. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that this might get a little tricky when we get to our splitting strategy, so I want you to make sure you're paying really close attention when I get to that. But first we're going to start with our open number line, just like we did last time. Now there's a couple ways that we could think about this. Remember, a while back when we were going through some strategies for how to use your open number line, one of the strategies we talked about was getting to a multiple of 10. Remember, multiples of 10 are numbers like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and so on. And I'm noticing right away that 39 is really close to 40, which is a multiple of 10. And I know if I can get to a multiple of 10, that's going to be a lot friendlier of a number for me to work with than 39. So what I could do, here's the first strategy I could use. I could start with 39, which I would probably start with 39 anyway, just because it's the bigger number. And what I can do is I am going to do one jump of 1. And the reason I'm going to do that is because if I do one jump of 1, that's going to put me at 40 on my number line. And from there, it's going to be a lot easier for me to add from 40 than it would be for me to add from 39. But since I have done one jump of 1, that means I need to take 1 away from the 23 because I've already done one jump of 1 from these 3 ones. So now we don't have 23, now we have 22 because I just got rid of one of those 1s. So now from 40, I'm going to jump 22. So again, if I think about the splitting strategy, I have 20 and 2. So again, since I have 2 groups of 10, that means I can do 2 jumps of 10, which is really easy to do from 40. So here's my first jump of 10, and here's my second jump of 10. So 40 plus 10, that's easy, is 50, plus another 10 is 60. But I'm not done yet. I've only added 20. I still need to add 2 more. And I don't need to do a jump of 5 for that because then I'm going to have too much. So I can just do 2 jumps of 2. Or sorry, 2 jumps of 1. So plus 1 and plus 1. So 60 plus 1 is 61. And then plus another 1 is 62. So look at what I just added. I added 20, 21, 22, 23. It was just kind of split up a little bit, but I still added 23 to 39. I just kind of broke it apart in a way that helped me and made it make more sense so that I had friendlier numbers to work with. But my answer is 62. Now another way that we could solve this, if that plus 1 doesn't make sense to you, because that can get a little tricky, then we can also solve it on the open number line another way. Let's try it a different way. And we should get the same answer. All right. So if you want to just kind of stick to the method that we usually use and don't worry about that plus 1 if that is confusing for you, then once again you can just start at 39 since it's the bigger number, and then simply add your 23. So again, with that splitting strategy, we have 20 and then 3. So since I have 2 groups of 10, I can do 2 jumps of 10. So if I do 2 jumps of 10 from 39, 39 plus 10 is 49. Remember, 3 groups of 10 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ones. I add another 10 and now I have 4 10s and 9 ones. So I know that it's 49. Plus another 10 is 59. So I've added my 2 10s for my 20. Now I need to add 3, so I'm just going to do 3 jumps of 1. 1, 2, 3. So we got 60, 61, and 62, which was the answer we got last time, so I know that's correct. So there's a couple different ways that we could solve this with the open number line, whichever makes most sense to you. Now let's try the splitting strategy, and then we'll be done with our lesson for today. Just a little quick review. All right, so again, starting with 23, we're going to split it into its 10s and 1s. We kind of already did that in the last problem. So again, we have 20, because we have 2 groups of 10, and then our 3 1s. Okay, same thing with 39. We have a 3 in the 10s place, which means we have 3 groups of 10, which is 30. And then our 9 1s. All right, first step done. Now again, we need to add our 10s to our 10s and our 1s to our 1s. So 20 plus 30. Again, I know that 3 plus 2 is 5, so then 30 plus 20 must be 50. Or again, I could get 30 in my head and count up 2 more 10s. So 30, 40, 50. All right, and now my 1s. 3 plus 9, or I can flip-flop it if that's easier, 9 plus 3. And 9 plus 3 is 12. Okay, remember how I said that this is where it's going to get a little tricky with this problem? Because normally we have a 1-digit number here, so it's really easy to add it to our 10s. But now we have a 2-digit number, so that could make things a little trickier. But you know what? Don't let it psych you out. It's not as tricky as it seems. All we're going to do now is, since we have a 2-digit number here, which means we have a 10s place, we're just going to split this number now, just like we did with 23 and 39. So if we split the 12 into their 10s and 1s, one group of 10 is 10, and then it's 2 1s. Oh, so actually, since that's a 10, I'm going to give that a square. Okay, So now from there, we've split our 12 and we've got our 50. So now we just have to add these 3 numbers together instead of 2, which is an extra step, but you guys can do it. So now we just add our 10s together again, and then our 1s. So 50 plus 10, well that's easy. 50 plus 10 is, let me move this down a little bit, 60 plus 2 equals 62, which is the same answer we got with our number line strategy. So we know that that is correct. We know that we must have done it right. All right, my friends, so that was just a quick review with those 2 strategies. So now hopefully you've got those in your back pocket. So if you need to add 2-digit numbers together, you can either use the number line strategy or you can use this splitting strategy to help you. And you're going to really need these strategies for your assignment. So if you need to go back and rewatch this to try again and get it real fresh in your brain, go ahead and do that now.